College football live, and boy, oh boy, y'all already know that if you've been watching this channel, you know what hats I wear all the time. My Dodgers just won the World Series, so we got to talk some college football, and we got to celebrate what is the greatest World Series that I have ever seen in my life. MLB should absolutely be juiced about this. This was remarkable. This was fantastic. This was incredible. This was every single superlative that you could possibly use or want. You got in this situation. You guys make sure that you like, subscribe, share, tell a friend, and also hop in them comments because you know I will get with them in there. So first of all, we had some great week. We had a great week of college football. We had some great games. We had some upsets. Contenders and pretenders are being exposed everywhere. And we are at the point in time in the college football season where it is hard to win. It is hard to win, and sustaining success is hard because sustaining focus for 17 to 23-year-olds on a 12 weeks is difficult. Well, 12 games over 14 weeks is difficult. There are distractions. You got coaches eyeing other jobs. Everybody's thinking about their NIL for next year. They're thinking about the transfer portal or the NFL. They're taking midterms right now, or the quarter's getting ready to end, the semester's getting ready to end. They're thinking about grades, going home for Thanksgiving, the NFL transfer portal, and they are playing against players and coaches that are trying to get money elsewhere and opportunities as well. So I am on a high because I just watched. I'm so amped up because I literally just watched my Dodgers win the World Series. It was incredible. And yes, somebody's already in the chat that they need to review MLB's luxury tax. How can you even say that? Because did the Yankees win? No. Did the other teams did the Mets win? No. No. Your front office matters. Did Toronto spend the most money? No. They took the Dodgers to everything that they could handle. This ain't about just the money. So this was incredible. Lord, and before we get back to college football, I'm sorry, uh, Yamamoto, Lord have mercy. This dude was incredible. I'm trying to see who's going to win MVP right now, but it better be him because what he did pitching yesterday, pitching today, pitching in game 4 times already this series. It's incredible. Will Smith came through, Miguel Rojas. And my biggest criticism about Dave Roberts the whole time he's been the manager is that he relies on the computer too much and not on his gut. And this time he relied on his gut with Miguel Rojas, and he put Andy Paez in there, and he got that last out when he ran over Kike in the 9th inning. Bro, this was spectacular. Absolutely spectacular. I have loved this with every single bone in my body. And there was a lot of people that thought the Dodgers were left for dead. I went to game 5, and my wife was super upset. She was like, we're going to lose the series. I was like, baby, relax. They didn't play their best. They didn't hit well. Bro, they just grinded the whole thing out, and you got to appreciate it. But now, let's get to the college football. Let's get what you came here for, which is to celebrate week 10 in college football. So there were great games. There were upsets. And we're going to start with one of the biggest upsets of the weekend because it's funny because a few weeks ago when I did the live stream with Brooks Austin, there was a lot of people wondering if Miami had essentially punched their ticket to the college football playoff a couple of weeks ago. And there were some people that had some things to say about it. You had Louisville, who had something to say about it. You had SMU today, who had something to say about it. There are no more layups. Every game from here on out, unless you just come out and you just take firm control of the game, it is going to be a problem. And one of the issues that Mario Cristobal has had as a head coach, because I do believe he's a really good head coach. I believe he's a really good recruiter. He creates toughness, physicality, all of those things. The issue with Mario Cristobal's teams are, and this was the same thing was true when he was at Oregon, is that there are times where you end up in knife fights, when you don't need to be in knife fights, or rock fights. And when you end up playing close games with teams that you are way more talented than, if you drop a ball here, bad penalty here, like Oregon against Stanford, the roughing the passer call, or non-offensive pass interference, you're going to lose some of those games. And this is the issue, is that Miami, and at this point in time, you can't blame Marcus Arroyo. You can't blame Randy Shannon. You can't blame the new offensive coordinator, Shannon Dawson. This has to be on the way Mario Cristobal is either preparing his team or the way that he is pressing the buttons of the offensive coordinator. Because this is the only way that this happens. And SMU beat Miami in the fashion that Mario Cristobal likes to beat teams. It was running the ball down their throat at the end of the game. In overtime, after Carson Beck threw that interception. And now Miami is in a situation. They are completely out of the ACC championship. You might be like, George, there's a way. No, SMU, who's in front of them in the conference standings, holds a tiebreaker over them. So does Louisville, holds a tiebreaker over them. And then you got Virginia, and you got Georgia Tech still in front of them too. And even though Georgia Tech just lost, it is going to be tough sledding for them to get into the ACC championship. So I'm going to call it right now. But today, Carson Beck, 26 for 38, 274, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Kevin Jennings, on the other hand, 29 for 44 in Rhett Lashley's offense, 365 yards and a touchdown. He was absolutely the difference in the game today. He didn't turn the ball over. And this SMU defense was able to get turnovers on Carson Beck. And this is the issue. Carson Beck is too old and has played college football too many years for these same mistakes in terms of interceptions to be happening. And in his last, let's look at his game log. So he's got, in his game log, he has 2 interceptions versus SMU, 4 versus Louisville, 1 versus Florida, 2 versus USF. We're starting to get up there in the interception category right now. So he has 14 touchdowns, 9 interceptions on the season. That's not going to cut it. So now Miami's ceiling this season is 10-2. Not going to the college football playoff at 10-2 out of the ACC, unless they can some sort of way backdoor into the ACC championship, and then turn around and win it. But this is just tough because the Miami defense in this game wasn't exactly atrocious. They literally shut SMU running the football down. 25 carries for 23 yards. That is domination. And so you would think when you dominate like that you would be able to win. But they do not create explosives for the most part outside of screenplays. And this has been a problem for them. So I would say that that's the biggest upset of the day. The next game that we have to talk about, and this one, honestly, it left me with a bad taste in my mouth. This was the USC Nebraska game. And you guys hop in the comments. We will continue to talk about everything. USC and Nebraska. I left this game feeling like yuck. I didn't feel great about USC at the end of the game, And I damn sure didn't feel good about Nebraska. And people can blame it on Dylan Raiola spraining his ankle or whatever happened to him and not being able to come into the game. Did that impact the game? Yes, right? So Nebraska has an excuse about why they're now 0-29 in their top 25 in their last 29 top 25 games. So now there's an excuse because Dylan Raiola got hurt. But that still didn't stop the conservative play from Matt Rule. I felt like I was watching James Franklin coach a football game. That's what I felt like. This is a dink and dunk offense. They can't really create explosives. Dylan Raiola in this game, what did he have? 19. Let me get the exact total because I don't want to lie to you. I want to make sure that we are being accurate at 100% about this. Dylan Raiola, 10 for 15 for 91 yards and a touchdown. She's largely a check down merchant. And the play that he got hurt on, he was holding the ball. Because remember, in the lead up to this game in the preview, told you guys, Dylan Raiola holds the ball too long. He's trying to protect his completion percentage or he's trying to find something, and he's not elusive enough to do that. Get rid of the football. Play like the guy that you are, which is a little bit more athletic than he's like Eli Manning at athleticism. Play like that. Get the ball out of your hands. Do you see Joe Flacco trying to run all over the place? No, get the ball out of your hands. And so I didn't feel good about USC either because this was the first time that USC has played an exceptional pass defense this year. They faced an exceptional pass defense and they got shut all the way down. All the way down. It was Jaden Ma'ava, 9 for 23 for 135 yards. He got discombobulated, and people believe that this team is supposed to beat the go up to Eugene and win in Oregon. Lincoln Riley's teams don't play well when they go on the road. They didn't play well tonight. They didn't play well in Illinois. They definitely have not played well on the road. This is where they've lost. And we think that this is going to travel to the number one pass defense in the country. It's probably going to look more like what we saw today. But I will give King Miller credit. He did a good job. USC ran for 202 yards on 38 carries. So Lincoln Riley's doing a good job of not abandoning the run, but he can do that when you're not putting pressure on them to score. And this Nebraska offense, Emmett Johnson, give that man an ice bath, give that man whatever he needs. 29 carries, 165, and a touchdown. Their running back is absolutely carrying him. Nebraska has to figure out a way to create some explosives in the passing game. I am watching Penn State with red uniforms, a traditional powerhouse. You got a name brand coach. I'm literally watching the same exact thing unfold over and over and over again. All right, next thing up, next game that we got to talk about is Penn State, Ohio State. All right, I will admit I was 100% wrong about this game, but I knew that I could be wrong about this game. And I did believe that there was a world where Penn State could slow down Ohio State. And they did in the first half a little bit. But in the second half, Carnell Tate, Jeremiah Smith, listen, Ohio State is the only team in the country. They are moving back to number one in the country. In my poll, spoiler alert. I had Indiana in there last week. Ohio State's level of domination, it trumps the Indiana win over Oregon to me. Ohio State's domination in their 38-14 win over Penn State. I guess they did show some flaws today because they gave up their first half touchdowns of the entire season today. So, but am I supposed to feel bad about that? Absolutely not. Julian Sand, 316 for 4 touchdowns, 20 for 23. Now, people are going to wonder, like, George, are you going to have him on your Heisman ballot? Where are you going to have him at? Well, it is easier to play quarterback. Now, granted, he's doing a great job. When you're throwing to Carnell Tate, you're throwing to Jeremiah Smith, you are constantly in great situations with your defense because they are absolutely stoning people. They gave up 14 points today, and it probably feels like a million. The only reason why they gave up 14 points is because Penn State scored 7, and then Ohio State had a turnover in their own territory, and they couldn't hold them to a field goal. I think inside the 20. So, yes. They gave up 14 amazing points. But this Ohio State team, I can't find a hole yet. Now, granted, their schedule has not been the most daunting thing that you've ever seen in your whole life, because the only team that they've played that is currently ranked is Texas. That is it. That's it. They've played. Excuse me, Washington. Well, actually, Washington's not even ranked, but they should be. That's it. That's it. And it's not that Washington is not a good football team. It's that they've not been given the proper respect. So I still got to go with Ohio State over Indiana right now, because I found a way when I was watching Indiana play today that Indiana can be beat. All right, the next game up. I hope you guys watched. Actually, let's go to my upset alerts. My upset alerts today. The teams that I put on upset alert: Louisville, Virginia Tech. That was the game that I was on CW, so I hope you guys tuned in. Tell me if you guys got a chance to see me. Louisville won this football game, but this football game was nothing about this game was easy at all. They won this game 28-16. 28-16, and they were down at halftime. This Louisville team is good, and they showed why they are the 14th ranked defense in the second half of this football game. And they have 2 studs: Isaac Brown, who went crazy today running the football at running back, and you saw him do bad things to Boston College, over 200 yards last week. You saw what he did to Miami. Miami couldn't tackle him for worth a damn, and they have a really good run defense. And then Chris Bell, their wide receiver. And then you add in Miller Moss at quarterback. This is an efficient team. And you see why people want Jeff Brom to be their head coach. The dude is fantastic. He is amazing. All right, the next thing up. Next team that I had on upset alert: Texas Tech and Kansas State. This one did not materialize the way I thought it would, but it started out like that. Finished out 43-20. It is time for people to start paying attention to Texas Tech. We got to pay attention to Texas Tech. They forced 5 Kansas State turnovers in this game and turned them into 27 points. That's it. Baron Morton returned in this game. Their offense got back to going. He threw for 249 yards, 2 touchdowns. Passing game looked in rhythm. This defense got going. Their running game is traveling. Jacoby Williams, 135 rushing yards. And the team finished with 436 total yards. Come on, man. This is good. This is really good. And this just continues the terrible season for Kansas State. I think they're 4-5 now. This is not going the way that they wanted it to at all. It's not. It's not. And it is, but this is also what college football has turned into now. It's tough. You got Kansas State. Their outlook, they are headed, they are 4-5. They're sitting at 4-5. They still do have a path to get to a bowl game. They got Oklahoma State, which they should win. They're at Utah. Probably not going to win that football game. And then they play against Colorado. And the way Colorado's looking right now, that might be an easy win for Kansas State. I'm sorry, Dion, but, here's the truth. things ain't looking real good for you and your team right now. Things are actually looking awful over there in Boulder. I'm not gonna lie. All right. And then for Texas Tech, they got BYU next week. Huge showdown. Huge showdown versus BYU. I could not be any more excited about that game because if Texas Tech, well, if BYU wins that game, and then Texas Tech can still get into the Big 12 championship and win, now you're gonna have two Big 12 teams in the college football playoff. There's gonna be no way around it. And then they got UCF, and then they're at West Virginia. So there is a path out for Texas Tech. Lord have mercy. Um, Now, the next game that we have to talk about, and you guys make sure that you guys like, subscribe, get notifications, tell a friend about the show. The comments in my mentions on Twitter about the Dodgers, Lord have mercy. Y'all are some fools, and I love it. All right, the next game that was on Upset Alert was a game that ended up in an upset. You had Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, who people had been, oh, Georgia Tech's fine, everything's good. They're gonna win the ACC. There's a reason why they were underdogs against Duke and why they were barely favored in this game. And they lost 48-36 against NC State. But I will tell you, their quarterback, Haynes King, he did his job. Oh, it was their defense that didn't. And my question to you is, what is going on with this Georgia Tech offense that Haynes King has to go 25 for 35 for 408 yards and 2 touchdowns? He did throw a pick. Okay, and you're like, George, quarterbacks throw for 400 yards. Oh, and take 20 carries for 103 yards and 2 touchdowns? This man had over 510 yards of offense all by himself. And don't give me the DeMond Williams versus Rutgers thing. This was a different story because this was not a blowout. This is your star quarterback, your franchise player on an undefeated team. I told you that this Georgia Tech team, that Cinderella slipper was going to fall off at some point in time, and they were not going to be able to sustain what they were doing. And now you look at the ACC, and you're trying to figure out, where is the path? And people are going to be trying to discredit this conference, but this is probably the most parity that we have in any conference. Miami is sitting at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th in the conference behind Duke, SMU, Louisville, Pittsburgh, Georgia Tech, and Virginia. And then you got, so it's going to be a long shot for Miami to end up in the college football, in the ACC championship. But then SMU looks good. Louisville looks good. Virginia is at the top of the list. Boy, oh boy. Now, I will say this about Georgia Tech in their loss and Louisville in their first half is that they looked like two teams playing whose head coach was flirting around with other people, that they were flirting around with taking other jobs. And that's what's happening because Jeff Brom has not come out publicly and said, I'm not leaving. And you haven't had Brent Key do it either. And if you pay attention, every single time coaches don't do this, their team has a lull. Ole Miss did the exact same thing. Every single team, when their coach starts getting involved with these coaching rumors and they don't address it head on, they all fall into a lull. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news. Next thing up, can anybody explain me what the hell Michigan is doing? What is Michigan doing? And remember, I did tell you that it is very difficult to win this time of year. But this Michigan game, you're sitting here watching it and you're like, wait, hold up. You guys were playing Purdue, who is much improved. But this was a 21-16 game. It was 14-7 at halftime, 14-10 at the end of the third. And we're sitting there like, okay, okay. How does this work? And yes, Michigan went up 21-10 prior to the late Purdue touchdown. But in all reality, how can you be happy with this sort of win if you are Michigan? You have to be concerned about your passing offense, about what Bryce Underwood put on film today. 13 for 22, 145, no touchdowns, and a pick. Now your running game, fantastic. You ran for 39 for 253 and 3 touchdowns. That is great. That is going to travel. That is going to work. But at some point in time, the ball has to go in the air if you want to do something. If Michigan has any hopes, well, actually, no, that Michigan couldn't throw the ball last year and they beat Ohio State. So I don't know what it is about this Michigan team and this Michigan offense. It looks, the best way to describe it is intermittent. When they play at Nebraska last week and next week, they're going to have their hands full. Michigan is going to have their hands full. Actually, they don't play next week. They have a bye week. Then they play Northwestern. Michigan is going to have their hands full when they play Northwestern. And everybody knows that they probably going to beat Ohio State anyway. And I saw y'all put that in the comments. Y'all foolish for that one. I love it. Let me get you guys' comments real quick. I've been telling fans that Miami sucks and Beck throws the ball to the other team too much. Hey, you know. Somebody asked, who the hell is Ole Miss playing next week? We haven't even talked about Ole Miss yet. We haven't even gotten to them yet. All right. Ole Miss, South Carolina. I had Ole Miss on upset alert only because South Carolina, there is potential ways for them to score. They have athletes, so they can, break tackles. They can do something spectacular. But I will tell you that watching this South Carolina team play football hurts my eyeballs. It hurts my eyeballs. I promise you, I would rather watch Iowa play offense than watch South Carolina play offense. Because South Carolina's quarterback, this young man is spectacular in terms of physically. He is really good. Lenore Sellers, dude's a baller. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to this season, he's had one 300-yard passing game this year. He threw for 225 once, 200 yards once. Everything else has been under 200 yards. Couple barely over 100 yards. He's playing like he's playing not to get hurt after he got that concussion. Shane Beamer's offense and the way that this team is being run looks awful. They're 3-9. And people don't want to put him on the hot seat yet. But I'm telling you, South Carolina fans, they can't like the way that this looked. They can't. This was mind-blowingly bad. It was. I'm not even getting ready to sugarcoat it at all. And the future of South Carolina, they got Texas A&M. They got an off week. Then they got Texas A&M. They're going to get scorched by Texas A&M. Then they're going to get a win with Coastal Carolina, probably. And then they play Clemson. Clemson looks terrible this year, too. So how are we supposed to say that? Oh, man. I can't acknowledge the one about Chris. I can't acknowledge one of these comments in the chat, but I will tell you, I don't think you're wrong though. I do not think you're wrong. All right. The next game up that was on the upset alert was the Virginia Cal game. Now, I put Virginia and Cal on this upset alert because I was like, Cinderella slipper's gonna fall off at some point in time, right? Cal can't just keep. I'm sorry. That Virginia and Tony Elliott can't keep just winning football games, right? Like, there's no way. Virginia's just been bad. Well, big ups to Tony Elliott. This is their best start since in like 30 years of football over there at Virginia Tech with a 31-21 win. I thought the glass slipper was going to fall off, but you know who else got a little problem on their hands right now? Justin Wilcox. Justin Wilcox at Cal. Because this team, think about how long ago this was. They were 3-0. And I was like, look at this schedule. They were balling. And you're like, yo, they might be able to backdoor with this schedule into the ACC championship. People, Jaron Kiwi Sagapuatelli, Heisman winner potentially. But now the kid still looks good, but he also looks like a true freshman starting when he's not necessarily ready to be starting yet. And Cal is now 5-4. And you look at the rest of their schedule and you're like, they got to play at Louisville, probably going to be a loss. Then they play at Stanford. Stanford has been putting up a good fight. That's going to be a dog fight. Then they're going to play SMU and probably lose that game because the SMU is going to be fighting for a lot. They may not go to a bowl game. And if they finish 5-7, I don't know how you can expect things to be different at all over there, which means you're going to lose your quarterback in the transfer portal. It's just going to be a whole lot. But on Virginia's side, their quarterback, Chandler Morris, this kid, resilient. He started, what did he go? He was at Oklahoma, then TCU, then North Texas, now back to Virginia. This dude's a winner. He's doing exactly what Diego Pavia was doing at Vanderbilt over there at Virginia. And now they really believe that they can win, and they are winning. So big ups to Virginia. But then let's really look at what they got to do on the way out, because they still got Wake Forest. Wake Forest puts up a fight. Dickert, their new head coach from Washington State, he's doing a good job. Then they play at Duke, and Duke scores points. Darian Mensah. Can I mention Darian Mensah for a second? Because all that money that Duke paid for Darian Mensah, money well spent. He puts up numbers every single week. And Duke is going to have to up his pay, because if not, oh, Lord have mercy, you're going to have somebody bidding for his services. And then they got Virginia Tech. So these are not layups out the door. It gets harder and harder to win, because that monkey jumps on your back too, and you start feeling all the weight. Let's not lose. Everything's going well. Don't blow it. Everything feels good. This is a good team. It's a lot to deal with. And only teams that are very good teams can survive this. It is it is extremely difficult for teams to survive this. All right. The next game we got to talk about. I owe an apology. I owe an apology to Texas, because I 100% wrote the Texas Longhorns off. I 100% wrote this team off, and now they are squarely back with an opportunity to make the college football playoff. So I apologize, because Arch Manning was not playing his best football, and he's continuing to get better. But I'm also not getting ready to act like that I'm going to ignore the truth about the situation, because Texas still plays Georgia, Arkansas, and Texas A&M. And prior to today, you're not getting ready to sit here and try to convince me that wins against a bad Florida team, a bad Kentucky team, and a really bad Mississippi State team on the road, that these are the toughest games in the entire world. Are they competitive? Yes, just like these ACC games are. There's no difference. So if Texas can navigate the rest of this schedule, beating Georgia, beating Texas A&M and beating Arkansas, yes, they 100% should be in the college football playoff. And guess what? That is also going to put them in a situation in the conference where then they would jump Georgia. They would be in a and they would jump Texas A&M. So then they would be in a tiebreaker situation with Alabama and Ole Miss to potentially get into the conference championship. And if not, they'll be sitting there in third place, waiting to get in the college football playoff. And then Georgia got a nice road ahead of them because they still got Texas and they got Georgia Tech as well, which played them close last year. So listen, it's a lot. But also, let's not sit here and act like I hate to be the bearer of bad news about this Vanderbilt team. Can we please, actually, first, let's commend Arch first. 25 for 33, 328 yards, 3 touchdowns. So, with the same energy that criticized the kid, when he comes out and he plays well, we got to give him credit. Now, 75 of them yards were on a swing route that he threw to Ryan Wingo on the first play of the game. And Ryan Wingo, he did all the work in the blockers. But that's back-to-back 300-plus yard, 3 touchdown outings. And when you heard Sark talk on game day today, he said that we needed to get back to what we were doing in terms of being aggressive on offense and not just relying on the defense and being safe and all that stuff. And it's working. Their explosives are starting to hit again. They look like a Sark-led team. And I got to tell you, this shows that Sark is a very good coach because things could have fallen apart for Arch. Things could have fallen apart for this team, and they didn't. So good job. But I will say, they were dominating this football game. I think they were up 31-14, and then they let Vanderbilt come back. They let them come back ferociously in the fourth quarter, and that, my friends, is a little bit alarming. Vanderbilt scored 21 points in the fourth quarter and was this far away from picking up an onside kick, but it squirted out of bounds. But I will say, I'm not at the same time getting ready to sit here and act like that Texas is a great football team because they are not. They have not shown that all season. They are a good football team. They are a difficult football team to put away at times. And then also, here's the truth about Vanderbilt. I'm sorry. I saw an ESPN graphic after this game that Vanderbilt still has a 46% chance to make the college football playoff. I'm like, how, Sway? Who have they beaten? They beat Charleston Southern, bad Virginia Tech, bad South Carolina, Georgia State, Utah State. They lost to Bama. They beat a bad LSU team that fired their coach. They beat Missouri, who's beaten nobody, and I have no idea why Missouri is ranked. And then they just lost to Texas. How is this the number 9 team in the country? They are not. But because it was a 34-31 game, people are going to sit here and act like this was a close game and Vanderbilt shouldn't be ranked 20th and Texas 15. Can we please, for the love of God, give Vanderbilt the treatment that y'all gave Indiana and SMU last year? Give them that treatment. The who have they beaten treatment. And give them we know that this roster is nowhere near as talented as the other teams that are going to make the college football playoff. This is the 6th or 7th best team in the SEC. Give them that treatment. Give them that same treatment that you gave SMU, the same treatment that you gave Indiana last year, where you just dismissed them. Give them that treatment. But will they, though? We're going to see what the AP poll thinks about them in the morning. But I highly doubt that they are going to give them that sort of treatment. I do. So there's actually still games going on right now. Oh, let's go to the zero threat games. The zero threat games. Indiana, Maryland. Indiana did what they have continued to do all season in a 55-10 win over Maryland, which is BTA, belt to ass. They got over 300 yards of offense. 300 yards rushing offense. They ended up with way more than they passed the ball decently as well. But I did see finally today, I was able to zero in on how to beat Indiana. Obviously, you have to stop the run, but this pass game can be nerfed. Iowa nerfed them. They got nerfed today. If you can stop that run game, this pass game is not as electric as it looks. It's the run game that gets this going. This got some Chip Kelly offense to it, where you think it's a high flying pass. It's not. It's all in the run game. And then the other no doubter, I said zero chance, was this Notre Dame Boston College game. I thought that Notre Dame was going to run Boston College out of the building, but turns out that this is one of them hard football games. 0-0 at the end of the first. This game was a lot like Oregon's Wisconsin game a couple weeks ago. 25-10. Notre Dame was never in doubt, but it also was not pretty at all. Not pretty. But I'm starting to love CJ Carr just that much more. 18 for 25, 299. Jeremiah Love, 94-yard touchdown, 136 total yards on the ground. Kid's a dog. That kid is special. Jeremiah Love, and all he's doing every single week is making himself some money. But this Notre Dame defense shut him down. 3 interceptions. And it was good stuff. Very, very good stuff. And probably if Jadarian Price doesn't fumble the ball as well, then this game probably gets a little bit more out of hand as well. What else did we have today? Because there was a short slate. So, Oklahoma and Tennessee. Oklahoma and Tennessee. This game went down to the nitty gritty, and Oklahoma pulled this game out. And I'm going to tell you, John Mateer went 19 for 29 for 159 yards and a pick. He also ran for 16 times for 80 yards and a touchdown. He has not looked nearly the same since he had his hand surgery. It is like he came all the way back down to earth, and we don't know who this man is. While you got Tennessee with Joey Aguilar, 393 yards, 3 touchdowns, but he did throw 2 picks. What's interesting about this game is that this game went a lot like the Georgia game did. Tennessee is dominating this football game, and then Georgia starts running the football, and Tennessee can't stop it. And Tennessee can't run the football. Same exact situation. And this is where Oklahoma is right now. They are relying on their defense because their offense is sketchy. Their pass offense is sketchy. Their run offense is typically sketchy, but they were playing against Tennessee. And Tennessee gives up the buns in the run game. But Tennessee tried to run it 35 times, 63 yards. That ain't going to cut it. And when you're in must-pass situations all the time, this is how you get interceptions. 45 attempts. They would like to keep Joey Aguilar around 35 max attempts, 30 to 35 attempts, and get that rushing up to about 50 with another 15 rushes, take 15 passes off. That's what they would like to do. But they need to, if you're running the ball 35 times, you got to at least get a $130 up out of there. At least that. Maybe 150. If we're being honest, we're gonna run the ball 35 times. That ain't gonna cut it. But the outlook for this Oklahoma team, they got Alabama. They're at Alabama in 2 weeks, and then they play Missouri and LSU. Every one of those games, well, the Alabama and the LSU game are going to be tough for them. The Missouri game, they're going to dog walk Missouri because Missouri's not going to be able to score. But the Alabama game, this is a winnable game for Oklahoma. And if they beat Alabama, it is going to send the SEC into a frenzy. It is going to send the SEC. Patty, what's up? Can I go to the basketball tip-off tomorrow? Yeah. All right. Yeah, it's going to send them into a frenzy. Daughter just came in looking all lovely. Where's the phone? Okay, Biden and bring it here. And then so that's Oklahoma and the rest of their outlook, and then you got Tennessee. Their season is New Mexico, at Florida, and then Vanderbilt. So either them or Vanderbilt is going to fall completely out of the top 20-25 by the time that game happens. But we shall see. Yeah, but I told you guys Tennessee was not going back to the college football playoff, and and Oklahoma's sitting on the outside as well. The other game that is still, let me see if this game is still going. Oh, it's still going on, but it is pretty much decided. We had a top 25 game where game day was there. You had Cincinnati at Utah, and we were wondering what was going to happen in this game. But Brendan Sorsby, Cincinnati's quarterback, has been dynamic. He's been electric. But today he got nerfed. It is 38-14 with 3:19 to go in the fourth quarter. And you got Utah's quarterback, Devin Dampier. And this is the thing that's interesting, is that I expected, because remember, I went to go interview Kyle Whittingham this year. I expected this team to be a little bit better. I did. I expected Devin Dampier to be able to pass the ball a little bit better, and that's not what they're doing. But they are leaning on their offensive line, and they're leaning on their defense. And Kyle Whittingham asked for some turnovers this game. He already has 2, but they have also lost a fumble and thrown a pick as well, so it is even. So, such is life. But before I get out here, I want to go over these standings for a second, because we already went over the ACC, but the Big 12. So Cincinnati's going to lose today. Utah's going to get bumped up slightly. But it's going to be BYU in first place, and then you're going to have Cincinnati or Texas Tech, depending on the tiebreaker. And then you're going to have then after that, you're going to have Houston, Arizona State, TCU, and then Utah's going to jump up to 4 and 2. So it's going to get we have no clue who's coming out of Big 12. But out of the Big 10, the championship game is locked up. It is locked up. It is Indiana versus Ohio State. Even if Ohio State loses to Michigan, the only way that they don't get into the conference championship game is if for some reason they get into a tiebreaker situation with Oregon, because Indiana is pretty much in, because they got Penn State, Wisconsin, and Purdue. And if they beat Penn State, even if they lose to Penn State, Oregon can't get in front of them. So, yeah. So the Big Ten feels like the safest conference championship game so far, with Ohio State and Indiana, which both of them teams should be highly favored to go to the championship game. Well, go to the college football playoff in the 90% probably. And then you got Michigan is actually third in the Big Ten right now, because they play one more game than Oregon. Iowa is behind them, then USC. So, yeah, so we don't know who's going to get in. But the college football playoff, right now, Indiana, Ohio State, Oregon, and either Michigan, US. Ooh, yeah, it's going to be tough for any team not named Michigan to get. Actually, no, because then any SEC, if Oregon wins out and Michigan doesn't beat Ohio State, then Michigan, Iowa, and USC will all have at least 3 losses, which means that the SEC is probably only going to the Big Ten is only going to get 3 teams into the college football playoff, especially if something weird happens in the Big 10. I'm sorry, in the Big 12 or the ACC. But you guys, though, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your energy. Make sure that you like, subscribe. Oh, let me hop in the comments and see if you guys got anything. Yeah. Oh, yep. UW is difficult as well. Yeah, I'm not gonna really sit here and act like UW is just a layup game because it's in Mont Lake. So that's for sure. And if you're Oregon, wouldn't you rather have a home playoff game at Alton anyway? 100%. Every single day, every single week. That you'll take that. Somebody said Georgia won't beat Georgia Tech. They took it to the end last year, and this year I think if Brent Key gets in that situation again, he will go for 2. Somebody said I don't want to hear about the SEC until they play 9 conference games. Bravo, buddy. But you guys, though, I thank you for your time. I thank you for your energy. Peace out. Catch you guys this week with the breakdowns, with everything else. Make sure that you share. I'm George Wrighster.